Yep, and I'll hand you over to the leader to start things.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this meeting of Blackpool Council's Executive. It is Monday, the 15th of June, 2020 at 6 p.m. I'd like to welcome any members of the public who are watching us on YouTube. Before we begin the formal proceedings, in order to make it easier for anybody watching this to understand what's going on, I'm going to ask everybody who's present at the meeting to identify themselves. They'll tell you whether they're a councillor or an officer of the council, and they'll give you their job title. So I'm going to start. Lennox, please.
Hi, I'm Lennox Beattie. I'm the Executive and Regulatory Manager. I'm the person that takes the notes of the meeting today.
Neil Brooks.
I'm Neil Brooks, Councillor for Horside Ward and Cabinet Member with responsibility for housing and welfare reform.
Ivan Taylor, please.
Do we need to say that again?
Yes, please. You were muted, Ivan.
I beg your pardon. Ivan Taylor, Cabinet Member for Projects and Partnerships.
Thank you. Mark Towers, please.
Thank you, Leader. My name is Mark Towers. I'm Director of Governance at the Council and Monitoring Officer.
Thank you. Gillian Campbell, please.
Gillian Campbell, Cabinet Member for Tourism and Culture.
Thank you. Joe Farrell, please.
Councillor Joe Farrell, Cabinet Member for Adult Social Care and Health.
Thank you. David Collett, please.
I'm Councillor David Collett, Cabinet Assistant to the Leader.
Thank you. Maria Kirkland, please.
Councillor Maria Kirkland, Cabinet Member for Community Cohesion and Leisure.
Thank you. Neil Jack, please.
Neil Jack, the Chief Executive of Blackpool Council.
Thank you. Lynn Williams, please.
Lynn Williams, Councillor, Cabinet Member for Children's Services, Deputy Leader.
Thank you. Mark Smith, please.
Councillor Mark Smith for Talbot Ward, Cabinet Member for Business, Enterprise and Job Creation.
Thank you. Jim Hobson, please.
Councillor Jim Hobson, Cabinet Member for Environment and Climate Change.
Thank you. Steve Thompson, please.
Hello, Steve Thompson, Director of Resources and Statutory Finance Officer.
Thank you. Alan Cavell, please.
Hello, I'm Alan Cavell and I'm Director of Communications and Regeneration and Officer of Council.
Thank you. And finally, according to my screen, Kath Benson. Kath, can you hear us? Your screen appears to have frozen. There'll just be a brief interlude whilst we try and get Councillor Benson back on the line. Kath, we can see you. Could you unmute your microphone and introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, Councillor Kath Benson, Cabinet Member, Schools, Education and Aspiration. Yeah, it just crashed and my reception is pretty poor.
No problem at all. 5 seconds to tell me that I've missed anybody. Okay, thank you very much. In which case we move on to the formal part of the agenda. Can I ask, please, for any declarations of interest? If you do have an interest to declare, could you tell me whether it's a personal, prejudicial or disclosable pecuniary interest? I don't see anybody indicating, so I'm going to move on. Move to item 2, amendments to emergency delegation of executive powers due to the coronavirus pandemic. The item is as outlined on the agenda, which is available on the Council's website for anybody viewing the meeting. Does anybody wish to speak or have any questions or comments on the item? which case can I ask if we're all agreed?
Yes.
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you. Is anybody not in agreement with that, the recommendations? Thank you very much. It's carried, thank you. Item 3, purchase of land at Devonshire Road. Additional documents Appendix 3A and a restricted enclosure 5, which explains why part of this decision is confidential. Do we have any questions or comments?
Yeah, just one comment, Chair, our leader, that item point 12.5 refers to a fallback position should the Blackpool Magistrates Court building not go ahead. I think that fallback position of housing development on the site should reflect the ambition that it should be social housing that's developed on there, either by a housing association or one of our almos. I think without that caveat, we could be accused of acquiring land from one private developer, only to potentially be seeking to resell the land again to another private developer if it all goes wrong with the rebuilding the magistrates court up there. I don't think the executive would necessarily be wanting to speculatively invest in land development for private developers.
Would an additional sentence at the end of that paragraph stating that it is not the council's intention to use this land for speculative private housing investment, would that satisfy those criteria?
I think so, sir. I think so, really, yeah.
Is everybody content with that?
Yes.
Yeah. So subject to that amendment, can we agree the item?
Agreed.
Thank you.
Yes, agreed.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's agreed. Yeah.
Thank you, Lennox. Move on then to item 4, regeneration of phase 3 of the Talbot Gateway. It is outlined in the agenda, additional documents at Appendix 4A and 4B. Any questions or comments? Thank you very much. In which case, are we content to approve the item?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, agreed.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That's agreed, Chair.
Thank you. Item 5 is the library's ambition plan, as outlined on the agenda, with appendices running from 5A through to 5E. Councillor Benson, I believe you just wish to highlight another strategy of the council that you'd like this to dovetail with. You'll need to unmute your microphone. Thank you.
Yeah, it was just on item 5, the library ambition plan, which I don't think we've got to yet.
We are on that item.
Oh, we are, yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't find the relevant document because I'm on my laptop. Just ask Alan how, because on the document it refers to the opportunity areas funding, and I think that's actually been acquired. I might be wrong, but it ties in with the Get Reading campaign that was launched in February and the literacy strategy that the School Improvement Board. I just wondered if Alan's got any news on that, because I just think that may need updating, because I think that funding has already been acquired.
Thanks, Kath. Alan.
Yeah, I think the OA has issued some funding on literacy, but not to the libraries initially. We're waiting for a further amount of funding to be considered as part of a possible extension to the OA. And of course, we're hopeful that that would come our way. But it is fair to say that the libraries have been consulted on the literacy part of the OA work anyway, and were did bid for the first round of funding, but unfortunately weren't successful. It went to another agency.
Okay, thanks, Alan.
Thank you very much. Councillor Campbell, you will of course ensure, as we progress with the library's ambition plan, that it speaks to the opportunity areas and the literacy strategy and all of the other things that the council's trying to do to make these plans come to life, I'm sure.
Yeah, I absolutely will. I'll make sure that it's updated and members see an updated plan.
Thank you very much. With that, are we content to approve the plan?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you very
Agreed.
much.
Yes, agreed.
Item 5, provisional outturn for 2019-20. I think, Steve, there's a couple of highlights in this that it might be worth drawing to the attention of the executive and any watching members of the public.
Yes, thank you, Leader. It's been an extremely challenging year in 2019-20 as the monthly monitoring reports have indicated, in particularly emerging pressures in children's social care post the Ofsted recommendations, and you can see that the outturn for children's services was an overspend of 12.9 million. So to actually end the year with a positive level of working balances of 2.3 million pounds to carry forward shows a sort of remarkable team effort across all other directorates who tightened their belt to contribute to this, and a number of other measures, including a freezing of non-essential spend, which released £1 million, the release of £1 million from accumulation of external funding that we accumulated within contingency from 2021 into 1920. All in all, helped mitigate the overspend to a reduced figure of £5.8 million. And I included those contributions, underspends from adult services. It was over £500,000 on an £80 million gross budget, probably one of the few, if not the only, service in the country that has managed to break even or slightly underspend on its budget. And also contributions from community and environmental resources and ward budgets, and the chief exec's area as well. Treasury management made a significant contribution, and we'll probably hear about that in the following item. But I think the bottom line is that looking at our financial standing, yes, we've got 2.3 million of working balances to carry forward towards the target of 6 million, which we'll work during 2021 to deliver. But more importantly, our level of earmarked reserves increased from 41.7 million to 46.8 million, which I believe is probably the highest level that this council has ever accumulated. So stands us in very good stead for 2021 and the challenges ahead with COVID-19.
Thank you very much.
Probably covers the main points, Lee.
Thank you very much, Steve. I'm sure everybody would want to join with me in thanking all of the officers across each directorate for their sterling efforts. It has, without a shadow of a doubt, been the most challenging year the council's experienced, apart from the one that we're in at the moment, of course. I note with pleasure that my very brief tenure as Cabinet Member for Adult Services coincided with a fairly dramatic underspend. I'm sure Councillor Farrell will be able to repeat that feat next year. Are there any questions? Okay, well, with that, we're happy to note the report. Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you very much, everybody, and thank you very much, Steve. Incredibly impressive outcome. So moving on then to item 7, the Treasury Management Outturn Report. And again, based on my reading of the report and the conversation that I had with Steve towards the end of last week, I think there's a couple of highlights that it's worth drawing out from that.
Yes, thank you, Leader. Again, for an authority of this size, spending £95 million on capital expenditure, of which 50 million related to the Hounshill, which was acquired in November 2019. That pushed our overall borrowing up from 241 to 311 million, an increase of £70 million. We have repaid some long-standing debt over that period, but have increased temporary borrowing from 153 to 244 million. And that's a purposeful strategy because PWLB rates actually went up during the year by 1%. Market rates are less than that, but at the moment with temporary borrowing as low as it is, the base rate at 0.1%, with every likelihood of that reducing further to zero, if not negative, then I think our current strategy of maintaining temporary borrowing and locking in it should there be an upturn in interest rates, either through PWLB or through the Municipal Bonds Agency, which is also an option. We did look during the year at buying out one of our long-term loans through Commerce Bank, but the quotes that were returned didn't prove viable. So we've left that as is. And in terms of activity during the year, for an organisation of this size, we spend approximately £500 million, but the Annex 3 shows a cash flow of 1.3 million. So it gives you some indication of the turnover of cash. So borrowing, lending, and that's been as high as I've seen it for some time. But our ability to manage using temporary borrowing has enabled an underspend on the Treasury management budget of £1.9 million during the year, which has made a significant contribution to, in particular, children's services overspend. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve. Does anybody have any questions on the Treasury Management Report? It's not very often I see Councillor Smith lost for words for an entire meeting. Okay, well, again, huge thanks to Steve and his team. I think particularly given the interest rate situation, the ability to handle a turnover of £1.3 billion over the course of 12 months and to emerge with that sort of outturn has certainly will have a huge impact on our ability to deliver services. I get that figure to be roughly in line with a 4% rise in council tax. So I'm sure people will be very grateful for that. If there are no other questions or comments, are we happy to note the report?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, at 18 minutes past 6 on Monday, the 15th of June 2020, I will close the meeting. I'd like to thank everybody who's joined us on the meeting. I'd like to thank everybody, the thousands, I'm sure, of people who've watched us on the internet, and I do hope you'll tune in to the next exciting instalment of Blackpool Council's Executive. Thank you and good night.
Thanks.